What is going on, everybody? My name is John Solo, and welcome to the 7th official episode of the Solo Radio Podcast. That is the official Patreon exclusive podcast that you should have access to if you are contributing $1 or more a month to the Solo Fam's Patreon. As always, I want to start this episode off by saying thank you guys so much for your support. It really, really means a lot to me, and I hope that you feel like you are getting some bang for your buck now that I'm actually back in action, and the cross-country moves are over, the surgeries are over, and anything really that would put a giant delay is pretty much in the rearview mirror. Thank God. However, as you are noticing, or probably noticed, and as I said on the Patreon, this episode is coming at you a little bit later than I would want it to. Normally, I want to try to get these episodes out on Sundays. However, it's Monday morning. Right now, it's Sunday night, but it's Monday morning when you're watching this, or when I uploaded it. And the reason for that is because this past week has been a bit of a roller coaster for all sorts of reasons. One, we'll just start at the beginning. One, I started physical therapy this week. As you guys know, I got surgery back in June, and this isn't my first week of physical therapy back, or this isn't my first week of physical therapy since the surgery, but I did take about a month and a half, almost 2-month hiatus from it because I had to move from Florida to Illinois, and then I was living at my parents' and at my friends' for a while. That was kind of in the middle of nowhere, and I didn't have access to anywhere that had quality physical therapy. I guess that's how I'll say it, like no reputable organizations that I trusted, and I wasn't going to be there long term. It was like 2 or 3 weeks, maybe 4, but I didn't want to have to, get committed to somewhere down there and then have to drive an hour every morning that I wanted to do PT. You know what I mean? So there was a bit of a delay on that. Had to catch up on work after I finally moved in, and just started this week. And I'm happy to report that things are going really, really well. There was a bit of a setback when it comes to my recovery in general. Part of that was because of the lack of physical therapy, and the other part was because just the move I really strained my muscles, my back muscles, while packing up my entire life. I kind of talked about this a couple episodes ago, but the 4 or 5 weeks of physical therapy I did down in Florida, we didn't do any muscle strengthening. We just did after you get surgery like I got, your muscles that they had to slice open and peel back, they go into shock mode when they get put back together because they're like, what the fuck just happened? I'm gonna stay in place from now on. And we spent about 4 or 5 weeks waking those muscles up so they could be worked again. And then we didn't do any muscle strengthening. So as I packed up my entire life, picking up these heavy crates full of books and electronics and the like, those muscles got way, way overworked. And I had a couple of really busy weeks immediately after moving. I had to unpack. Lauren actually had a wedding that she had to coordinate, and it was a family friend's wedding, so I joined her for that, and I actually helped her out during the coordinating, but that involved a lot of running around and a lot of moving shit around, like, helping set up for the reception and just carrying boxes of shit like centerpieces that they were going to need, and, it all added up, and it set me back quite a few weeks, but now I'm happy to say that the train is officially back on the tracks, not just the content production train, but my recovery as well. So I feel really good already. One thing that's really nice that I haven't really talked to you guys about is that a couple of days before physical therapy, I actually went to the gym, and it was my first real, I wouldn't even say real workout in terms of like it's not at the intensity that I always do it, or I used to do it before I got hurt, but it was a legitimate workout. I did chest on the machines, and I biked a couple of miles, like 3 miles at a moderate intensity, and at the end of the day, my back was feeling pretty sore. but it wasn't a sore where there was like a lot of inflammation and where there was like nerves that were irritated before because of the injury. Like that didn't flare up. It was like a muscle soreness where it was like, all right, these are broken back down, but they're going to come back stronger. And the next time I work them, they're going to come back a little bit stronger. And yeah, I just did like moderate to light work on chest machines and have been doing that on like arm machines, shoulders, etc. And slowly but surely I'm getting back at it. And I'm in a significant amount of less pain than I was during my last few weeks in Florida, and then the weeks, like month and a half following. I actually, I haven't talked to you guys about this at all. And I feel like I need to do a main announcement or an announcement on the main channel. I'm kind of updating people because I'm starting to get a lot of emails and comments with people who are genuinely concerned, which I really appreciate. But it's not something that I want to talk about in the main content because, like, I want those videos. One thing I like when I do these messed up origins videos. While I'm unfortunately I'm not able to include all of the information in every single topic that I cover that I want to, I do want them to be like the definitive source for if you want to know where this story came from. Here's the start point and here's the end point, like almost as if it's like a visual and audio, like encyclopedia, something like that, where you kind of are caught up on the whole thing, or like a very casual form of a documentary is not the right word, but it's the one that's coming to mind. And I don't really like to bog that down with things that are like topical, like in my life, outside of like a quick, like, hey, I'm moving, like. So I'm not gonna be making videos for a little bit, stuff like that. I don't like to fill in these major updates because I don't know, most of the people watching don't care. But I feel like maybe I should start doing that at least towards the end, because during the end is when like the hardcore fans, you guys stay until the end. The people who are watching this are the ones who watch the messed up origins until the episode is actually over, not just, all right, that's the end of the story, and then like start looking at the next one. You know what I mean? So for that month and a half, I was in some serious pain. Like I thought that I straight up hurt my back again. I was tweaking pretty hardcore because I'd feel decent one day and then I would move a little too much or move the wrong way the next day, and then I'd be sore for like 3 days in a row. And it was really, really starting to get to my head, causing some pretty serious anxiety. And that's also kind of the reason why I wasn't as active as I could have been during the month that I was home, was it just felt like I needed to take some time for myself to recover, basically. But now that I am back in physical therapy, But now that I'm back in physical therapy, I am feeling really, really good. Like I'm going most of my days without being in any sort of serious pain. Sometimes towards the end of the day, I start to get a little bit sore because I've been like sitting all day, and that's really not good for anyone's back. Even if you have a good back, sitting all day is not good for you at all. Just so you all know, because that can lead to back problems down the line if you're not careful and you don't do something to counteract all of that sedentary, all that time you've spent sedentary. But now, whatever. I'm back in physical therapy. We're starting off with some exercises to work the lower back, really strengthen that up. I'm only about 3 sessions in, but I've been also going to the gym on top of that. And I'm sore today, but it's like, again, it's that good sore where like, I feel like I'm going to be stronger tomorrow. Of course I have physical therapy tomorrow and that's going to leave me sore, but hey, whatever. But yeah, so that was taking up a lot of my mornings, which is usually when I like to start working around, like I wake up about 7 a.m., 7:30 with Lauren, because Lauren and I are basically living together, or we are living together, and she gets up to work around that time. Spend some time reading, like personal time reading stuff that I want to read that's not for YouTube, because I feel like it's really important to do that. And I do so much reading for YouTube. It's like I need to consume some information that's just for me. So I'll spend some time doing that. I'll usually play video games for like 45 minutes to an hour, and then like 10 a.m. is when I would start actually, intense working. But now I've got like my entire mornings taken up with PT, going to the gym, and then I come back and it's, by the time I get cleaned up and I get ready to work, it's about noon. And then, the rest of the day I'm working, but it's, those are 2 or 3 hours that I lose, you know what I mean? One thing that I kind of forgot while I was injured was how much time going to the gym actually does take up if you want to do it right. And like with me, I'm lifting, then I'm hitting the sauna, then I'm hitting the hot tub, because I gotta hit the hot tub so my back can recover correctly, so those muscles can relax. And it just adds up. That time gets away from you. So I kind of had less time to work this week than I normally do. And on top of that, the Bloody Mary episode that I filmed, that I posted, and by the way, you guys are absolutely loving it, and I'm so glad you're loving it, because as I'm about to get into, it was a stressful production, to say the least. There was it was kind of an abstract concept. So normally with these Fables Explained, Disney Explained, Mythology Explained even, I have a bit of an idea of the direction that I want to go, and, a story has a beginning point and an ending point. So I have that, and then I have a couple of other topics that I'll usually throw in, like an analysis of what it means, and some insight about what the author was feeling when he was writing it, stuff like that. Or I'll get into other versions of it, where with this, it was just, I took down all the notes I can, and then when I looked at it, I had a semblance of the order that I wanted to talk about it in, but it was way more abstract, where it was like, okay, I have the legend itself, but the legend itself is like, it's like I have my version, then there's other versions that people know, and then there's even more versions that people know, and it's like, all right, in what order do I want to present these? Some of these kind of have some overlap, so how am I going to talk about all of these different versions without getting repetitive? And then I wanted to get into the Queen Mary I and her connection to the Bloody Mary legend, which, as we all know, if you've watched the video, there is not a real connection. And I had way more notes. I didn't realize as I was taking notes on her how little of the information was actually important. So I included all the important stuff about her in the video, the stuff that I felt was important, outside of the fact that she got really bad periods. Kind of random, but I feel like that was part of the reason why she also was associated with the Bloody Mary nickname, as disgusting as that is. And so there was like that, and then there was like an analysis of the Bloody Mary story, which just didn't make any sense to me at all. Like, I saw this guy, I was reading this dude's analysis of the legend, and he, in his, to his credit, he included a lot of interviews with people around the country where they were like, here's the version I heard. So, I was able to source that spectacularly. But he also cited some other folklorists' work and kind of shamed them, because he's like, well, other folklorists, they'll track the origin of the story. My phrasing, not exactly his. They'll track where the story came from and its evolutions through time, but they don't actually analyze it. They don't say why it's important. They don't say what the story means. And his analysis of the story was fucking weird, man. He was saying how it's most of the people that, at least that he interviewed, most of the people who tried to summon Bloody Mary were young girls around 13, 14, in their early teens or close to it. and how summoning Bloody Mary was some sort of like subconscious ritual with them connecting to their, like, making that step, taking that step from childhood to adulthood. How they would summon Bloody Mary around the same time that they would have their periods. And I know. And how that they were like subconsciously summoning their periods because, you know, you do the Bloody Mary alone, like you do the ritual alone, and, you know, when you get a period, you kind of go at it alone. It's like just you and the period. Again, these are my words, not his. But that was the gist of what he was saying, and I kind of wanted to talk about that because I felt like it was so ridiculous. I was like, dude, I don't think so. I just think it's a ghost story, and I think that kids are the ones who are most likely to believe it. Those are the people that you tell most ghost stories to, ergo, those are the ones who are going to try to summon her. I don't think it has anything to do with people getting their periods and subconsciously wanting to summon the ghost that has blood in its name, you know? And what really actually irked me about what he wrote was that he's like, you know, people reading this are probably going to say, you know, when I tried to summon Bloody Mary, it had nothing to do with my period. It was just a fun thing. And he said that is exactly his point, how that almost adds credit to his point because it's so subconscious we don't even realize it. And over time, we forgot why we were summoning Bloody Mary. And again, I'm just like, I don't fucking think so, dude. I don't think so. I don't think that has anything to do with it. You know, it also has to do with a bathroom. Some of the things, some of the rituals had to do with flushing toilets, and like girls flush tampons down the toilet, so there's a connection there. I was just like, dude, you are full of shit. Like, but I didn't want to spend too much time talking about that in particular because, like I'm saying now, I don't think it's relevant whatsoever, and I needed to get the video done. So, like you guys saw, I uploaded it like Friday afternoon. I typically like to upload these videos on Thursday. Ideally, I would want to do it on Wednesday, but I'm still like trying to catch up to my schedule. Like I have to work like 7 days a week for the next like 4 or 5 weeks to actually get to a point where I'm a week ahead of schedule again. And that's going to be a bit of a headache. So, excuse me. So yeah, unfortunately, I just didn't have time to include all of that. But that is why this podcast exists. Like now I have something to talk about on the podcast, as I will for every other episode that follows. For example, I'm doing for Mythology Explained next. I'm going to be talking about Hermes or Hermes or Hermes, depending on which country you're from and which time period you're living in. Those are the different pronunciations. And I'm definitely not going to be able to talk about everything that I research about him, which, by the way, Hermes is fucking hilarious. Like, his stories, his myths that he's involved in are hysterical. So you guys have a lot to look forward to with that. But yeah, that, like I was saying, that's the great thing about the podcast. Yeah, I finished that on Friday. Yesterday, I started working on Hermes, and time pretty much just got away from me. I had to do a little bit of shopping and life stuff on the weekends, as we all do when the weekend comes around, and didn't have time to film. And then today, worked all day, and then actually, big announcement about to happen, like right about now. Spent the evening doing a little bit something else. So I'm going to call Lauren in here, and you'll see what's up. Want to come here? Yeah. So, there is a new member in the Solo fam.
Might be sleeping a little bit.
Yeah. This is Gunther. He is our son.
Our fur baby.
Our fur babe. He's very sleepy. It's been a long day for him.
We got a new home.
Yeah.
And a bunch of toys.
Yeah. So we spent the evening taking care of him and making dinner, watching TV, just relaxing on a Sunday night. And that's why I'm filming this on a Sunday night and posting it on a Monday morning. Definitely going to expect to see him in several videos because I can imagine that he's not going to want to be left alone during the 2.5, 3 hours that I film. So you'll be getting some more glimpses of him in the future.
And possibly more costumes.
We're going to get him some costumes. Or I'm going to blame all the costume getting on you.
Oh, yeah, I've already looked some up.
Have you really?
Yeah.
Of course. What are you checking out for him?
Pajamas.
Pajamas? Oh.
There's
That
some
was
that has
amazing.
Bananas on it.
So I've wanted a pug since, like, I was in first, second grade. Did you ever play the game Dogs on PC?
Yeah.
DOGZ?
I think I played it on, I'm totally drawing a blank. It's been a long day. Not the Switch. The
DS?
Yeah, on the
Oh,
DS.
Nintendogs?
Yeah.
Yeah. There was this game, though, it was called Dogs, and it was just DOGZ. I'll have to show you it.
No, I've heard of it.
You've heard of it?
Yeah.
And it's like old computer game, early 2000s, late 90s, and you could adopt little dogs on there. And I remember in Dogs, I think it was Dogs 5 was the first one that included pugs. And that was the first time I knew pugs existed. And since then, I have wanted one. And
Now we got
18 years later, the dream has come true. And I'm very, very happy. Very happy.
one. Yeah. You can tell he is too.
Yeah.
He was running around like crazy.
Yeah, he's all tuckered out. He was pumped. He hasn't been able to run around pretty much ever, I would imagine. And
Did you tell him about the first time we saw him?
no, I didn't. Fun fact, actually, we stopped at the pet store when I was apartment hunting. He was at a store that's pretty close to my apartment. Hey, bud.
Good morning.
And I don't even think I've said his name.
No.
His
Yeah,
name
you
is-
did.
Hmm?
I don't know if you did.
His name is Gunther,
looked
and
like
he is
Gunther.
beautiful
And tired.
and very tired. But we stopped in, and before that day, I had never petted a pug. Petted? I've never pet a pug before. So this was the first pug that I ever pet. And as much as we loved him, I didn't have the apartment just yet. Had a few more tours to go on, and just didn't want to commit to anything before I had actually moved up here. So we figured, for the employee, she was like, I can't guarantee that he's going to be here in a couple of weeks, but you can hope, and maybe his price will go down a little bit.
It went like half down.
It went, yeah. So
Within a
4
month.
weeks, 5 weeks go by.
Yeah.
Lauren, we start looking for pugs, and Lauren, she sends them an email, and she's like, let's get an appointment set up for this little guy, because just by chance he happened to be there. And they call this morning, and it turns out that he was like 50% cheaper than
Yeah.
he was before. We figured that has to be meant to be, right? So stopped in this evening, played with him for a couple minutes, and
Noticed that he was the same pug we played with. He got a little white speck
he's got a little
on his chest.
some white chest hair.
Yeah.
And a couple hours later, here we are. So, yeah, you can expect to see him in some more videos in the future. And,
And an Instagram to follow.
yeah, I'll be promoting his
set that
Instagram for sure. Yeah, we got to set that up. But, yeah, you can take him back out now. I just
Okay,
wanted
we're-
to say hi.
We're cuddling. And he keeps yawning.
I'll be out there soon.
Okay. We'll miss you.
Miss you too. So, life is really good. I'm really happy to report that. Back is healing up. Apartment is perfect. And got my little fur baby over there. And really, really happy. So, I think on that note, I'm going to end this video. We'll be talking very soon next weekend, or I guess this weekend, and I'll keep you posted on everything that's going on. Expect to see you in a few days with the next episode of Mythology Explained. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, thank you all for your support. Really, really appreciate it. More than you guys even know. I feel like I say that kind of generically every weekend, but it really does mean a lot to me that you guys continue to come back every week, that these are actually getting some views now, and that just the amount of positivity. And like Bloody Mary, that video broke like 120,000 views in like 26 hours. Like, that's fucking crazy. If you told me a year ago that I was getting that kind of traction, I'd be super pumped. If you told me that 2 years ago, I'd be in dis-fucking-belief. And I wouldn't be here living this life if it weren't for you guys. So, thank you all so much. I'll be seeing you very soon. Until next time, stay safe.